What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and
Miguel Ramirez.
I forgot about you.
Go ahead, do this one by yourself.
I just saw the camera and I'm like, oh, hey. Thought I was doing a Facebook Live there for a second.
You're having trouble with that microphone.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know, man. Whatever.
Stop messing with it. It's good.
Is it good? Okay. All right. Become one with the microphone.
Oh, my God. All right.
So, yeah, happy day, everybody. What's up? What's new? What's going on?
They can't answer you.
They will. Dude, we have a phone line.
We do. You have that phone number?
I do have that phone number.
You can give that phone number out. Wow.
Anyways, good times, good times.
So we're recording this podcast. We're going to be dropping an extra podcast this month. So, one of the goals that we had, or that I had, I just kind of dragged you into it. But the weeks, the months that have 4 podcasts.
You know what? That's right. What the fuck? Like, you did drag me into this.
I asked you, and you didn't say any. You
did not.
You just ignored me as usual.
You did not ask. You're like, these are my goals. What?
No, I know. I'm like, what do you think?
Like, and I'm like, we got a lot of shit going on, and you want to drop another? No.
Anyway, so when we have a month that has 4 podcasts that we usually release, we'll drop an extra one somewhere in the middle of the month.
Yes.
So that way we're just talking to you guys more.
Yay.
So, and for those of you that are watching the podcast on YouTube, on Facebook, remember you can also listen to it. If you download any of the podcast apps, you can just search Opposites Attract Podcast. If you go to the links in these videos on YouTube and Facebook, there's links where you can just click Android or iPhone and it'll open up the podcast right on your phone. And a lot of times the phones already have a podcast app. You may not even notice it or know that you have it. But if you click that link, it'll open it up right in your podcast app. But the one that we use is called Podcast Addict. And that's a really good app.
And I had no idea that these apps even existed. Like, I had no idea. You'd always tell me, oh, yeah, I'm listening to this podcast. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then you're like, oh, hey, by the way, let's do a podcast.
And now look at you.
What the hell's that?
Now you have a podcast.
You had to put the app on my phone because I had no idea. I'm like, what are you talking about? I do Facebook.
It's like we record our first podcast and you're like, okay, so how do I listen to it now?
No.
Yeah.
I'm like, YouTube? I know how to do that. All right.
Yeah. So the one we use now is called Podcast Addict. Yeah. It's a really good app. I like it. I've tried other ones, but I just like the way this one, like if you were to pause it and close the app out, it goes right back to where you were listening. You can set it to download episodes like in the middle of the night so that while you're sleeping, it downloads everything so that the next day you have it. So anyway, it's a really good app.
When we do mention podcasts, we do need to speak to the audiences or the audience, is that are not familiar with podcasts because they're probably thinking, well, what the heck is that? You know?
Yeah.
We always talk about it, but we don't break it down. I mean, you could Google it.
But you guys that are listening,
what is a podcast?
We don't need to talk about this too much because if you guys are listening to
then
this,
you
already know how to listen to a podcast.
But if you're watching this on YouTube,
if you're watching it, you may not know.
Or a small clip that we make.
Yeah. So it'll be in the small clips also. If you go to our website, oppositesattractpod.com, there's also social media links. If you click the Spotify link, you can watch it on Spotify or listen to it on Spotify. That's another way to do it because most people have Spotify already. You can just search in the podcast section for Opposites Attract Podcast. Yes. And recently, it took a while, but we got our podcast on iHeartRadio, which I don't know why. Maybe we didn't have the history that we do now. I mean, because we've been doing it for a little while now.
iHeartRadio.
Anyway, actually, you know what made me think of it?
My heart.
Yeah, your heart.
My big heart.
Oh, anyway. But no, what actually made me think of it was I was at the supermarket and they had an ad playing for iHeartRadio. And they were like, we're the biggest for podcasting. They're probably full of shit. It's just part of their ad. But I know I've heard.
Why would you say that?
Well, because there's you know who's the biggest for podcasting? iTunes. Because they're the ones that started podcasting. They're the biggest. So, and I can see it in our numbers. But but yeah, you can get it on iHeartRadio and any other podcast app. Just search it or just Google Opposites Attract podcast and you'll find it.
Yeah. So this week I called our landscaper and got no answer. Like, I've been trying to reach out to him.
Yeah.
And got no answer.
Nobody answered?
And nobody answered. Nobody called me back. I'm like, what in the world's going on? Like, at first, I'm like, okay, well, he took some time off during the holidays, and that's why he hasn't came by. You know, so, all right, I'll give him some time. Called him back, you know, in January, this week.
Yeah.
Called him, and no answer. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And then our neighbor across the street texted me, and she said, hey, Sonja, our landscaper closed his business down.
I got a lot of business. It's got it too much. I cannot make the landscaping. My wife pregnant. Cannot climb the tree anymore. I cannot do the landscaping. I got a tamales business. I got the brincas. I got the chairs and the tables for the party. You want a chair? You want a table? But landscaping, it had in my back. I cannot do.
Well, you may want to call somebody up.
That's okay. You got it. There's a lot of landscapers. There's a lot of Mexican. You can got something or somebody. Be like, hey, get over here. Got the grass. You know what I mean?
I need you to blow my leaves.
I blow something.
No.
Señora, hey, come here. I got something for you.
Anyway, that is a real story, by the way, guys.
Our landscaper retired.
And I had to find somebody else. And I'm thinking, hey, you know, what's up with all these landscapers? So you already took care of it. But
they are the hardest people to retain.
They so are.
It's the worst.
It is.
It is the worst. Like you tell them, like, this is the thing. This is what we want. We want somebody that'll do a good job and that is going to show up every month. Like,
yes,
it's crazy because we have to track them down to freaking have them work for us so that we can give them money.
Yeah. So the guy I hired, he seems really cool. They have other businesses as well. So he also does.
So he's on his way
cleaning,
to retirement.
You know, so they seem like they're on top of their stuff. But I asked him before he left, I'm like, so do I need to call you to remind you? And he laughed. He's like, no. He's like, I'll be calling you to remind you. And I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's different.
Yeah.
You know?
It's tough.
Yeah. There's a huge opportunity for someone, you know, who has ethics and is willing to work hard, because it's hard finding, you know, a landscaper that is
you know
consistent.
What? There's a lot of young kids that could probably do it. I mean, you get a lawnmower, pull weeds, get the shears and trim some bushes. That reminds me of those two kids in Cleveland that started a landscaping business. I mean, little kid, and this kid made like a little trailer for his bicycle. You remember that one?
Oh yeah.
He made a trailer for his. It was him and his little brother.
Yeah.
And he made a little trailer for his bicycle out of wood, and he could load up his lawnmower, his weed whacker, his blower.
Yeah.
And his brother would ride the bike behind him, and they would just go from house to house cleaning up yards and landscaping. Yeah. And now they have a pretty big landscaping company in Cleveland.
Yeah. So last week, first I want to clarify, did you already release the video?
Which video?
Regarding the church comment?
No. That'll be coming out.
I can't talk to them.
Well, actually, by the time this comes out, it'll come out.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. So, I can't talk about it.
It'll already be out.
Okay. Well, I wanted to clarify something.
Okay, so clarify.
Okay.
I'm telling you, when this podcast releases, that will be out already. Okay. So you guys may have already seen it.
So there's a small clip, okay, that from our previous podcast, and Miguel made a comment.
Yeah, we were saying
what
that
was your comment?
Procrastination is like masturbation. In the end, you only fuck yourself.
And I was like, oh, we were just talking about that at church. Ha, 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 right?
Yeah, so I took that clip.
I want to clarify that my pastor was not talking about masturbation.
He was not talking about procrastination. He was talking about masturbation.
No. Because I never did clarify that. You know, I never clarified that. I'm like, oh my gosh. No,
I'm pretty sure
what he was talking about. You know, God has equipped us.
I got to use
God
it.
has equipped us with everything we need. Now we need to go and do the activity, you know?
What activity is that?
Not masturbate. Anyways, you can't sit home and pray that God's going to, set your dreams up if you're not doing what you need to do in order to make those dreams a reality, basically. Anyways, I had to clarify that.
Nice.
It was so cool. So I'm really excited. You know that about, and I don't know if I talked about it, maybe not the last podcast, but I've been on this search, like big time, just self-awareness. Because I have a lot of flaws, and
we all do.
You know, it's like, the self-awareness onion. That's what I call it. Like the more you peel back the layers, the more you cry, the more you, right?
Yeah.
The more you find out like how messed up you are. There you go. And so I've been on this journey, and I had a divine appointment last Sunday. It was so cool because, I don't go to church every Sunday. I go when God's like, hey, time to go. You got to go. I go. And it's always something that I need to hear. But last Sunday, our, one of our neighbors have been going through some things, and I asked her if she, goes to church, and she's like, well, I've been looking for a church. So I invited her to our church. And I didn't really have plans on going that Sunday. It's just, I saw that she, needs some help, and I decided, let's go. So we went to church, and it was absolutely amazing. Like the message, everything. And they were so grateful, because it, and they also took their daughter with them. And so, anyways, they're excited about attending our church. And so there was this, lady sitting next to me, and me, I talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And I just complimented her on her blazer. Like I liked her blazer. And next thing you know I started talking to her how I feel like I'm being called to be a therapist or a counselor. And, I'm not sure if I want to go to school, and all this other, like sharing all my fears with her. And she starts talking to me, and I talked to her about the foster home that I've been working with, the group home.
Yeah.
And she works in that arena, and she's also a counselor.
Nice.
And out of nowhere, she's like, I would love to mentor you. And I don't know how old she is. She looks amazing, but I'm thinking maybe mid-70s or something like that. I don't know, but she looks absolutely amazing, and she's full of life. And so I'm excited. Like, because I've never just had someone say, hey, I want to mentor you. And it's funny because when she called me, she faxed me some documents that I need to fill out and all this other stuff. And
the hell is that?
I know, right? she's like, I don't use email. She doesn't use email. She doesn't even she calls from a private number. So, but anyways, I'm excited about that. Like, I'm excited about that. And she's also going to provide some counseling free. She's like, I'm going to mentor you for free. Everything's going to be for free. I feel that, this is something that God's telling me, to do. And she's like, I've never, done this before, and she said,
for free.
And she called me.
That's good.
She called me, and she gives me instructions. I told you, like, she gives me certain instructions, and I tell Miguel, and he's like, I think she's testing you to see if, you'll do it. Cause some people are like,
well, especially if she charges people for this and she's going to do it for free. Well, then maybe she's got to be like, well, I got to see if she's really serious.
Yeah.
Because if she's bullshitting, then I'm out.
Yeah,
which is how it works with most people.
And I respect, and I respect that. But I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
There was something else I was going to say.
There was I was listening to the Adam Carolla show earlier this week, and he was talking about how I think he may have just like fired one of his employees or whatever. And I don't know if it's generational or certain types of people or what it is. But he was saying like how for some people being on time, like it's almost like that's your first test. And
gotcha.
He said that he was meeting with somebody that's in the entertainment industry that's done, I think he's worked on like the Fast and Furious movies with The Rock and all that kind of stuff. And they're supposed to be meeting up for something, but it's not it's not a business thing. Like, they're going to hang out.
Right.
But that guy's very busy, and he's a big-time dude, and Adam Carolla doesn't want to be late. I mean, it's not like Adam Carolla's a nobody either, but out of respect for that guy's time, he wants to make sure that when they meet up, even if it's just to hang out and talk and have lunch like that, he's on time.
Right.
And this employee that he had just didn't really, he was like, well, it's not, like, we're not even doing anything. It's not that big of a deal. And he said that there was somebody that he was going to be interviewing for a position where, you know, working with Adam Carolla. And the guy was like 20 minutes late. And he's like, here, I'm meeting with somebody. I'm not even trying to get anything from them, but out of respect for that person, I make sure that I'm on time every time. And this person is trying to get something from me. They're asking me for work. They want me to pay them, and they can't make it here on time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And she, that's funny you said that, because she's like, well, I'll see you at church on Sunday. She's like, and she's like, I'm going to, you know, see if we can maybe get one of the rooms so we can talk, you know, beforehand. You know, but I'm excited about that. Well, because I'm ready for that. Like, I'm just, you know, it's something that I've been praying for, like for God to send me someone to mentor me, to guide me in whatever area it is that he wants me to fulfill. Like, whatever my part is in serving others, you know, just, you know, bring that person my way.
Yep.
You know? And
as far as like being on time, there's something that, I don't know if it's the military, because, you know, I mean, there was people that are late in the military, but you get into a shit ton of trouble. Like, if you're late constantly, I mean, if you're late a few times, you're gonna pay for it.
Right.
But if you're constantly late, like, it can start to get serious, because that's one thing in the military that they take very seriously is your, like, if you're supposed to be somewhere at 7, you can show up at 7, but don't show up at 7:01.
Yeah.
Because that's a problem.
I had an issue with that.
But you remember with our nephews.
Remember? Like, I was totally like, it was just,
it used to drive me crazy.
And it's stressful. Like, it's stressful for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I started to really be like, you know what, this is not, it's not good. Like, it's just not good. If you're going to tell somebody you're going to do something and you're going to be there at a certain time, you know, you need to be there at a certain time.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, because I wasn't paying attention to time, because that's something that a lot of us do. Like, we just don't pay attention to the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's selfish of us not to. Like, this morning, like, usually, like, for my appointments, like, I won't put on like makeup, like face makeup. I'll just put on lipstick, a little bit of mascara, and I'm out. Like, I've been doing that. And today I'm like, oh, I wanted to put a little bit of, you know, face makeup on, and, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, Sonia, what are you doing? Look at the time. Like, I caught myself this morning. What are you doing? Look at the time.
You got to go.
Because it's like 45 minutes away. And I got there right on time. But I had to stop myself this morning. Like, what are you doing? You need to leave. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just being aware of you know, keeping track of time and respecting other people's, you know, time as well. But having a business, you know, and that's what I've learned, like with the business, like, you have to be on time. You can't say you're going to do something and then have them respect you as a business owner when you're not there on time. Or even, to me, I like to be early now.
Yeah.
You know, I like to be early.
Was that movie that we were watching, the Netflix movie? You
Which
remember?
One? With Kevin Hart?
No.
Or which one?
The Irishman with Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro. You remember that?
Yeah.
And Al Pacino was playing oh man, I can't remember. It's a mob movie.
Yeah.
And they were having a meeting.
Yes.
And Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are waiting for this other guy for this meeting. Yep. And the guy is late.
And they're wearing a suit, like they're dressed
Al Pacino
nice,
and Robert De Niro
business.
are both wearing a suit, and the guy is late. And Al Pacino's looking at Robert De Niro like, he's like, come on, let's get the fuck out of here. He's like, hold up, he's gonna be here. He's like, no, you know what he's doing right now? Do you know what he's saying to us? He's saying, fuck you.
Yeah.
He's like, let's go, let's get out of here. And then the dude shows up. And he's got like a Hawaiian shirt on and some shorts on, and they get into this huge fight. He's like, what is this, or something like that. He's like, what are you wearing? He's like, you wear this to a meeting,
right? Yeah.
And then they start fighting about him being late. He's like, I know what you're doing or something like, and then they actually get into a fight.
They end up.
But anyway, it was just a funny part. But
isn't that funny when because I we've always focused on self-development.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like I'll be watching a cartoon or a movie.
Jesus, yeah.
And get a lesson out of it.
Yeah.
Right. And he's just like shaking his head.
I'm like, write that down. Yeah, or write down what the talking zebra did.
Yes. But it's good because it's good to teach the kids because being young, I never realized that there's a lot of good lessons in everything we watch. But because we're so caught up in the story itself,
it depends on what it is. Some of
you never hear the lesson, you know.
But there is a lot of stuff to learn from.
Yeah, like what was that one I was watching with Audrey with Will Smith? Purpose.
Oh, the purpose-driven.
No, babe, with Will Smith.
Oh, Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness.
That's what it was.
Like, there's so many lessons in there, for her.
Yeah.
And so while we were watching it, like I was going through it afterwards, I'm like, I asked her, so, what did you learn from that movie? And I made it
it's good. She's getting a little bit older now, and she's starting to pick up some of that stuff.
Yeah,
but
she is.
As far as being late, when our nephews and our niece were living with us, years back, and they would go out, you remember I would tell them, I'm like, hey, you need to be here at 8:00, or you need to be here at 9:00, or you need to be here, whatever.
Yeah.
And I used to tell them the same thing. I mean, I've always thought that it's important. It's a sign of respect for whoever you're supposed to be meeting up with. Yeah. And for us, I mean, coming home, obviously being home at 8:01 doesn't make a difference. But that lends itself to everything else once you start getting older. Yeah. And it depends on what the situation is. Like I tell you, sometimes if it's a birthday party and it's going to be a Mexican birthday party that's a 5-6 hour birthday party.
Why does it have to be a Mexican birthday party?
I'm just saying because you know how hey, we got at that party. You try the Bud Light and put us in line and some chile and we make it a party. But no, if it's a birthday party, all right, you show up an hour late. No big deal.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, on this side of town, parties are different.
Right,
and
totally different.
It's like a 2-hour party. You show up an hour late, you miss half. It's like we're showing up, and they're like, "What happened to your kid?" Like everybody's walking out. But with the kids, what I used to do is like, "Hey, it's 8:01, right? I mean, if you're supposed to be here at 8, and you show up at 8:01, tomorrow, if you ask me if you want to go out, for every minute." That's an hour less that you get to go out the next time. Yeah. Yeah. At first it was like, well, then you don't get to go out. But then I was like, for every minute that you're late, next time it's an hour less. So you got here at 8:01. Tomorrow you were going to be able to come home at 8. Now you got to be home at 7. If you got home at 8:02, you got to be home at 6. But you still got to do homework. You got to do all the other shit. And guess what? You just may not get to go out.
Right.
So.
That's funny. So be on time.
Be on time.
So now that we're okay, like we're laughing and, we're doing well, I wanted to bring up a situation.
You want to bring it down again?
That occurred that we resolved, but it was pretty bad. What was it? Last week.
Yeah.
Last week. I mean, we got into, we were supposed to record a podcast. It was on a Saturday. We were supposed to record a podcast and some shit went down, and I'll go through that. But we tried to record the podcast and it wasn't going to happen because we were not having it. Like, you were super pissed. I was okay. Pissed. You were like super duper pissed. I don't know what was going on with you. But yeah, you were super upset.
Now we can talk about it.
But I want to talk to people about it because they always see the happy-go-lucky us.
This podcast might get cut short and we might fight.
Miguel might be wearing my water. But so we were in the car and I remember a previous podcast where we went through the same situation where I was talking about, man, you just need to shut up and listen. Do you remember that podcast? Yeah. And this was one of those times, but I was a little heated. So I didn't just say, babe, can you just shut up and listen? Like I was upset at the point. What were we talking about?
I can't remember. What the heck was it?
Isn't that great? We don't even remember what the hell the whole dispute was about.
Yeah.
But it was something, I was sharing something with Miguel. And right after like my first sentence, like he didn't allow me to explain what I needed to explain.
I remember you were telling me that it had to do with the kids and finding a babysitter for the kids.
Oh, yes.
So you were explaining something.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hold up. Like, you're telling me this, and it was like one thing related to the other, but the one thing wasn't very good. And I'm like, hold on a second.
So he got in, and his response wasn't very positive.
No, I'm just like, hold up. Like, you're telling me this. He's like, I need more. You got to say something because you can't leave it like that.
So I looked at him, and because you didn't say it like in a sweet voice, it was a firm voice.
No,
yes,
it was. I wasn't coming at you. I wasn't.
Okay. So I looked at him and I'm like, will you just shut up and listen? And he freaking flipped a lid. Like, you were so pissed off about it. Like, he got super pissed off. I'm not even kidding. Like, you were yelling. Like, you were just not good.
Well, at that point, also the way you told me to shut up and listen.
No, yeah, because I was pissed.
At that point, I'm like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to you about the situation. Like, we're done.
And so, because I always question, okay, what triggered you? Like, what made you get so upset? You know, and why did I respond the way I responded? And it came down to it. I knew immediately as soon as I told you to shut up and listen in that firm voice, because I'm never that way with him. Like, I'm never firm. Like, I've never said, you know, like I never told you screw you, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but that day it was a firm shut up and listen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did that come from? But I knew immediately, because I felt that you were questioning like my decision, or my, as a mother, my parenting, but just making a decision for our kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would put them in a bad situation.
That's the way you took it, but that's not what I was. I just wanted you to explain more about what was going on.
So there was a miscommunication.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. That's why I came off the way I came off. You know, a mother lion's going to freaking tramp. It's going to pounce, pounce, pounce. And when you start to, you know, question what I'm doing, or if I would ever put my children in a situation that's not good for them, like, that's how I took that. And that's why I responded the way I responded. But at that time, he was done. Like, he was just, you could see smoke coming out of his ears. He was just pissed off.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. Like, I don't even think, because when he gets like that, I'm not going to talk to you.
Why was that?
Like, I'm not going to talk to you, because it only makes it worse, right?
Well, you kept trying, and I told you that I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. Like, you want to talk about something else, fine, but I'm not talking about this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't.
You didn't say it like that. You were a jerk.
No, I was.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't care.
You're being an asshole. So then I go, you know, upstairs, and I'm still feeling good. Like, I'm in a good mood, because I'm like, I don't know what's up with him, but whatever it is, he'll figure it out. So instead, he goes and pops open a bottle of whiskey and decides to drink it all.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wouldn't have done that.
It wasn't a whole bottle, but whatever, you know. And it's funny, because I'm like, hey, are we still going to do this podcast? Because I wasn't feeling like, I wasn't angry. You know, I was not feeling good because of the situation, but I wasn't like angry, you know, like, I'm like, oh, I don't know what the heck. Maybe there's something going on with him, because he took it. I didn't think that what I said was matching the way you responded, you know? So anyways, I thought, you know, he'll get over it, because you need time. So, you know, I come down, I'm like, hey, are we going to do this podcast? And he's looking at me like, what? And you're like, yeah, because we had it all set up. So we're sitting here. I don't want to take up the whole time. We're sitting here. And I'm like, let's go. And I look at him, and I could see steam coming out of your ears. So I'm like, oh, this shit isn't happening. But anyways, after giving you some time, like, you know, and I apologize like multiple times because I shouldn't have responded the way I responded.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't.
I told you I was sorry.
No, you didn't.
Like 3 times.
It didn't take until after we took all the podcast stuff down.
No,
yes.
I remember saying I'm sorry beforehand.
Yes. No, you didn't.
Okay. Well,
I'm telling you because that's why I was still, I'm like, you just don't get it. It's not even about what we were talking about. It's, to be honest, it's disrespect. The way you fucking talk to me and you tell me just shut up and listen.
What I said. And I think why you got so irked because I've never disrespected you like that.
And at that point, I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm done. And then, so we were supposed to, like, we had everything set up. We were supposed to record the podcast. But up until that point, you hadn't said anything. You're just like, oh, he's pissed. Give him some time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, fuck that.
Because I was upset of how you responded to my shut up and listen. Like you went, it was an appropriate response to being disrespected. Okay.
Okay, so we'll test this out again. Next time we're talking about something, I'm going to tell her to shut up and listen. And we'll see how this goes, and we'll get back with you guys.
Come on,
and
you
see
said
what the
worse
response
than
is.
that.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
No, I'll tell you, like, if we're just arguing back and forth, and it's not getting anywhere, and it's just getting irritating, I'm just like, you know what? I'm done talking. I'm done talking about this. We can talk about it another time, but I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. So, anyways, needless to say, we came, you know, after everything settled, we came together and we talked about it, and you know, we were able to rationalize like what we did wrong, and how we can handle it if it ever comes up again in a situation. He'll just shut up and listen.
No, I won't.
Until I'm done, and then we can talk about it. Because there's times where I need you just to listen. Like, just listen to what I'm saying before you even say anything. Okay, we had a podcast about this before. Yeah. You know, and that's where all this came off.
But you also got to take it like you took it the wrong way.
I did. I was wrong. I did. I interpreted the way your question the wrong way. But what I'm saying is to fix that. Like, I wasn't done talking. Like, allow me to finish what I'm saying and then ask questions. You know why? Because if you would have listened to what I was telling you, you would have answered your own question. That question would even have came up because I would have been able to, you know, I wasn't done with what I was telling you. You just kind of jumped in.
We were talking about one thing. It's related to the same thing, but we weren't talking about that.
We're not even getting into what
I'm just saying because we don't want to get into it. It's not that it's personal, but it's about somebody else.
Yeah.
So we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that this person's going through something. But you're telling me that they're going to babysit our kids. Mm-hmm. But you're not talking about what they're going through. You're talking about them babysitting. Oh, hey, we got somebody that's going to babysit our kids. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, hold up.
Hold up, right? So he's kind of thinking like I'm setting my kids up. See? Like if you say it like that, it's like you're not you're thinking that I'm not.
You're still taking it the wrong way.
Well,
I need an explanation. I want you. I would never think that you're going to put our kids in a bad situation.
Okay, so why would that comment even come up?
But I'm still their father and I want to know. Okay. I want to know what's up.
Okay, listeners, you're hearing this. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure they can see both of our sides, you know, but even when you said what you just said, it's like, if I'm going to have them, you know, watch the kids, obviously they're not in a bad situation because you didn't even know the whole story. But I was trying to explain it to you. But you cut me off in the first sentence.
What I'm saying is we were talking about them babysitting our kids.
So maybe this is not fixed?
No. Apparently it's not. So we'll keep working on it and we'll get back to you.
Anyways, guys, just shut up and listen. Okay? Allow us to finish our stories.
That is not how it's supposed to go.
It's not a discussion. This wasn't a discussion. I was talking to you.
I think we're done here.
Okay? Anyways.
So, yeah. There you go. Thanks for making the podcast awkward.
It's not. This is good. I want them to see. This is called opposites attract. They're not watching to see happy-go-lucky couple, this perfect couple.
Well, you know what?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
one thing that you can do is be careful how you talk to the person that you're with.
Yes. And in the 11, 12 years that we've been together, have I ever told you that?
No.
Okay. Kill me.
Maybe. We'll see.
Put me in the handcuffs and spank me. No, but we did this podcast because we wanted it to be real. We wanted it to be authentic. So this is something that other couples are probably going through too. I mean, there's a lot of miscommunication.
There is one thing, like, over the years, I hear people do it. And I hear people every once in a while, like the way they talk to the person that they're with. Mm-hmm. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I out of respect for you, I mean, I will get pissed off and I will say certain things, but there's just certain things that, like, I wouldn't curse at you. I might curse while I'm talking, but I won't. You know what? Fuck you. Or you're a fucking bitch. Or, something like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Out of respect for you. And I think when you start crossing that line, it's tough. Like, you're starting to lose some things in your relationship.
Yeah, respect.
Well, that's
you're
exactly.
Losing respect.
Yeah, you're starting to lose the respect, and that, I mean, to have an argument, to be pissed off is one thing, but that is something that's on a different level.
And I think that's where just, because sometimes in the heat of the moment, like, people will say things that they really don't mean. That's really hurtful.
Yeah.
And that's something that that's not something that we do.
Yeah.
And
we don't cross that line. We'll tiptoe, but we don't cross that line.
But it sucks. I mean, think about it. Like, when you're in the heat of the moment, sometimes we do things or we react a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's why, even with me, with the situation that we're going through right now that we really can't talk about until it's over, it's like I get so upset and so angry, but it's like there's nothing you can do about it. Do what's right? Because they say in the heat of the moment, your character will define who you truly are. It's easy to be happy and loving and nice when everything is going perfect. But when your life is turned upside down or a challenge or obstacle is thrown your way,
yeah,
how are you going to respond? How are you going to react? And that defines your true character.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm more slow to react. I think more, and you do too. Like,
you shut up and listen.
Yeah. And I pray. Oh boy, do I pray.
Yeah.
I sent you the Bible scripture. Wasn't that on point? Oh my God.
Well, that had to do with something else.
It did, but but the underlining message is the same.
Yeah.
I
got to look at it again.
So it's like when you're in a situation, when you are in a combative situation, or maybe you're in a disagreement, whether it's with your significant other or maybe you're an employer, whatever it may be, okay, the best thing you can do is resolve it.
Yeah.
Do your best to do what's right. And sometimes even your train of thought of what you think is right is not right. So you have to peel back the layer of onion to get down to what the true problem is.
Yeah.
And that's what, so don't just give yourself some time. When you're in a tough situation, in a dispute, whatever it may be, give yourself some time so that you can start thinking logically and not respond when you're pissed off or upset, because that will only make things worse.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Well, no, you did a really good job making me look like an alcoholic or making me sound like an alcoholic in that last one. You also didn't explain the context that this was like Saturday.
We're going to make a clip. No, you know how you like to make fun of me? When I don't fit, a lot of your little clips are mean. So, no, that's going to be one of our little clips.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that when you learn to start editing.
It was on a Saturday and we were hanging out. No,
I would have done that even if we didn't get into a fight.
Yeah, you would. And it wasn't the whole bottle.
Yeah. That bottle was like almost done.
Bit. No.
And he cracked that bottle open and drank the whole freaking thing.
trying to run away from his reality.
He started slapping the kids. No, that's not something that I do. But
so anyways, it takes a long time to be able to slow down and really think about what's going on.
But I think the biggest thing,
question yourself.
Obviously, we'll keep talking about this, and I'll keep drinking. And no, but I think that's right now from that situation. I think the most important thing that you can get out of it is don't cross that line.
Yeah.
And don't allow the other person to cross that line.
Right.
Like, let them know, hey, that's not happening. Yeah. That's not happening here.
Well, yeah, you do have to bring it.
I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah, and you have to bring it to their attention. Like, that's what communication. That's what I'm talking about. Is talking. Talking about this situation, not right there in the heat of the moment, but
you might give yourself some time. Cool off.
Yeah, give yourself some time and talk about it. The best thing, and all you can do, the only thing you can control is you. You can't control the way the other person is going to respond to you trying to come to an agreement with a dispute. You can only, do what yourself. You feel is best, and how they respond has nothing to do. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. That's it. Yeah. Just know that you're going to be able to sleep better at night because you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. And you may have to revisit it. It may not take talking one time. Like you may talk one time and exactly. This is a perfect example. Like you may think it's done.
Yeah.
But you may have to sit down and talk about it again.
A lot of families go through this issue, like just disputes. And instead of talking about it, they just don't talk to each other anymore. And it's so sad. Yeah. I see it like all the time between siblings, parents and it's a sad situation. It's sad.
Yeah.
A
few podcasts
and
ago.
a text. Sorry, babe.
Yeah.
And a text does not count.
Now she's cutting me off.
Sorry. Because this is important stuff.
I'm just kidding.
Like I remember our niece. I'm going to call you out right now, girl. Whenever she would have a dispute with a friend or her boyfriend at the time, she would text. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and call them. I will never. If you and I've never, I'll text you something. We've talked about it, but then I'll send you a text and then we'll talk about it, but it's never like.
Well, you know what though? Sometimes a text or even an email is a good way to send something
to open.
Like if you want to get a point across.
Yeah.
That may be a good way to do it because you can get your entire point across without being interrupted, without arguing. And maybe you can start it like, hey, I don't want to fight and we can talk about this or whatever.
Yep.
No, but the thing is that sending the text from the place of, it's not a text like that you want to fight.
Yeah. Yeah, but the other the other person could read it wrong or take it wrong. Like a text does not show emotion unless you use emojis.
Yeah. No, and I don't like texting. I would rather if it's even if there's somebody that I truly care about, I'll call them.
Yeah.
For their birthday or for Christmas or whatever.
Yeah. Pick up the phone. My mom last year, I'm going to throw her under the bus too. I'm throwing everybody on the bus under the bus right now. I already threw myself under the bus, so it's okay. So my mom texted me.
This is gonna be the episode, where the bus driver episode. We're running everybody over.
Text me on my birthday. She did not even call me. She texted me.
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I told you, my mom did not just text me happy birthday. Yeah. And I waited. I was like this. I waited. She's going to call. That text was just, hey, baby, happy birthday. But she's going to call.
She's busy. She's doing something. She just wants to say happy birthday real quick.
And I'm waiting. And I got no damn call. And I could have held that against her, but I didn't. I called her the next day.
And you told her happy birthday to me.
Because I wanted to be right.
Oh, man.
No, I waited the next day to call her.
Yeah.
And I just, I'm like, Mom, don't, listen, it's my birthday, Merry Christmas. Because she does that. I'm like, you are not a millennial. No.
Yeah.
I appreciate a call. I just do.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel better now.
So we were talking about communication on one of the other podcasts. Actually, you had wrote something down, but you didn't write it down detailed enough, and you're like, what was this about? So we were talking about communication and finances, like how some people will have separate bank accounts, or couples will have separate bank accounts and all that. That's not exactly what we were talking about. I mean, like we joined everything together. Like we've been on the same page about stuff for a long time.
It just fits us.
And I don't think there's anything wrong really with having separate bank accounts if you need them for something or whatever. I think what we were more talking about is like how sometimes people is like, well, I have a job, you have a job, and I'm going to pay these bills, you're going to pay those bills, and whatever's left over, like you're responsible for this, I'm responsible for this, and whatever's left over, I mean, that's mine and that's yours. And it's kind of like everything is completely
divided.
separate.
It's like a roommate, having a roommate.
Almost, yeah. And I don't know. To me, that seems kind of weird. I mean, you can have separate bank accounts and you guys can pay for things out of those bank accounts. But I mean, if you're going to be together, like really, if you're going to be together, you both got to kind of know, you got to know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like the money that's left over, like that's our money.
Yeah.
That's our family's money.
Yeah. So I have something to
say. And maybe if you're
that.
young in a relationship, that may be different. Yeah. But I think once you get to a certain point, like, I mean, you should be working together towards the same goals.
Right. And we're not trying to tell you what to do. That's our opinion.
You guys could be like, they're full of shit.
That's our opinion. But
also depending on the situation.
Yes. So,
because if I was a shopaholic or you were a shopaholic, maybe to kind of like preserve or protect the money that we make, it's like, you know what? I need to keep this money aside. You make sure that you pay those things and you can spend the rest of your money. But we got to do something with this. Or I don't know,
So, it's so crazy how this happens, but I was listening to David Bach, and he was talking about how us women need to be more aware of the finances, even if, if you're in a relationship, to know, okay, where, the IRA, like just be more involved in the finances, know how to pay the bills, know what accounts, like just be on top of that, like be aware, do it together.
Or be involved.
Yeah, or be involved. And I did a signing for, a lady, and we were sitting there. And she was,
What
pretty young.
do you mean you did a signing?
I did a signing for Trust Inc.
Trust Inc.
With Trust
What
Inc.
is Trust Inc?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency, and we do loan signings for title companies. We do notarizations for law firms and for individuals as well. And so, if you are needing a document notarized, give us a call or visit us at
www.trustincUSA.com.
Yes.
And we also have legal services provided by Legal Shield. We're independent associates. The plans are different in different states, but it's kind of like having an attorney on retainer. Most of the things that you would use on a regular basis, letters and phone calls, consultation, document review, will preparation, traffic tickets, they can help you with
all that good stuff.
All that's, for the most part, included in most places. So you can go to trustinkusa.com and check it out.
And it's $24.95 a month for a plan, by the way. And we do free estate planning. So your will, living will, medical power attorney, financial power attorney, all of that is included. So it's super cool.
Yeah.
And the reason why I got into that was because I was sitting with her. And so let's see, her husband passed away at the age of 34, and she's 36.
Damn.
It just happened 2 years ago, and cancer took his life, and it was very fast.
Holy crap.
And I was talking to her. I always get into deep conversations during my signings. And so she was sharing with me the situation, and man, she is exactly why us women need to be involved in our finances. She made that decision to be involved. And
after or before?
Before. No,
Okay.
before. Yes. And so she knew everything, her home, everything was taken care of. Like nothing went into probate. She had, a trust in place with the will, the living, all that other good stuff. Like she had, she knew where their finances, how to pay her bills, how to, just take care of business.
Yeah.
And, she was left in a good spot. She's obviously going through, the hurt and loss of her husband, but this just happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was sharing with her how I was just talking on the previous podcast on how important it is for us women to know, what's going on. Yeah. And if you're not in a relationship, just being, single, still being, just being on top of your game.
So like one thing that I do, obviously through my work, there's a lot of stuff that I have, like, life insurance and benefits and all that kind of stuff. And recently, like I've been telling you, like, you can give them a call. Give them a call. And I mean, if they need my authorization or you need my employee ID or my password or whatever, I mean, you're my wife. So you have everything. Or I can give them authorization for them to talk to you.
Right.
But talk to them and ask them questions. And it's not like you're trying to find out the truth. Yeah, it's like, no, I mean, I'm going to tell you stuff, but I'm not an insurance person.
We're very open.
I'm not a freaking investment person. So I'm going to tell you, we got some money over here. And,
Well, because I want to open up other investment accounts for myself as well.
But what I'm saying is that that's a good thing for you to get in there and know about everything that's available. Because, like, I have some kind of retirement plan. That I have some kind of, health insurance, medical insurance, life insurance. But I think the worst time to find out about all that stuff is like if I die or if something happens and then it's like, well, at least you're kind of, you may not remember everything, but you're kind of familiar. Like, oh, I know I need to call this place, talk to these people. Hey, this was my husband and I should be I should be authorized to do this stuff because he put me on there or whatever,
Yes.
So, but that's all part of that communication thing.
Yeah. And so, so just hearing her story, even opened up my eyes even further. And I feel like, I need to be this spokesperson and help these
for the women out there.
Yeah. So I was going to do like a Facebook Live, but I'm like, oh my God, I have a podcast. No. Yeah. And on
it's like a 1 hour Facebook Live. Yeah.
But it's important, women. And there's some incredible information for you to look up. Get on top of your game. Get on top of it. Stay on top of it. Stay on top.
Learn. No. Yeah. Stay on top.
Babe, that's like your favorite button
It
now.
It is. It's my favorite one now.
What the heck?
But so earlier in the week, there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about Instagram. But earlier in the week, I put up a post about setting goals. We talked about it on the last podcast, on the first podcast of the year. So hopefully some of you that are listening have gone back and like really thought about what you want to do. I mean, it's not a New Year's resolution. They're goals. Like I was kind of thinking about that. Like these are not New Year's resolution.
No.
These are goals. These are goals that we have for this year.
Yes.
And really it is a good time to sit back and review. And you know what? There's something, I was listening to the Adam Carolla show again, and he was talking about the New Year's resolutions. And he said there's different kinds of people. Like he started thinking about it. And this is a good observation.
I know what you're gonna say.
What?
No, I'm gonna listen.
What? No, tell me.
Nope,
I bet you it's off.
Listen.
But no, what he was saying is that there's different kinds of people when it comes to setting a New Year's resolution. Like there's some people that are like, I'm gonna quit this. I'm gonna lose that. And then there's people that are like, I'm gonna do, like they're adding more. It's not like they're trying to stop something. Like I'm gonna stop biting my nails. I'm gonna stop beating off so much, or I'm gonna stop, whatever. Some people are like, you know what? This year, I'm gonna pay this off, or I'm gonna get to the next level. It's like something that's making a significant improvement. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, it does. Because this is the thing. Most resolutions, I'm going to lose weight, like you said.
I'm going to stop smoking.
I'm going to to stop smoking, or I'm going to whatever, start a new gym, whatever. Those are very short term.
Yeah.
Not short term, but once you achieve them, then what?
Yeah. It's not like the continuous progress.
Right.
Thing. Yeah.
Which is,
those are the tougher ones. It's like a different level goal that you're setting.
Yeah.
Those are important too, though.
Yeah.
The one style.
No, they are.
They're both important. I mean, you probably need a mix of both of them.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
But one thing that I posted on Instagram was something about SMART goals. Like, we learned about SMART goals when we were in Legal Shield. They've talked about them at my work. And in case you guys haven't heard of what a SMART goal is, because it's one thing to make a goal, and we talked about writing your goals down. And that's something that, like, I put on my checklist. Like I talked about, I'm going to be using this checklist, and it's not easy because you're sitting there and you're just adding more shit, and it feels like you're adding a lot of stuff. But I also realize that there's a lot of little shit in there. And once I start knocking all the little shit out, it's not going to be there anymore. And then the list is just going to get shorter and shorter with just the important things that need to get done. So it may only have like 5 things. But one of the things that I wrote down on there was to write down the goals. So I made a Word document and I started writing down the goals. And I kind of realized that, I mean, I've done it before, but kind of refreshed in my head that it's different. It's different when you write down the goals. We talked about it on the last podcast, how, people that write down their goals from that Harvard MBA class, the top 3 that wrote down their goals made more than the 97% that did not write down their goals combined. And now that the goals are written down, you're thinking about it often.
Yep.
If it's just a goal that you just kind of said and you put in your head, it's kind of like a dream or a wish. Like you're wishing. That's what you're doing. You're wishing that, I hope this happens. But when you write it down, it's like, nah, this is different now.
Yeah.
You made a decision that this is what you're going to do. And you may fail, and people fail. That's something that you have to expect to fail and be okay with it. And you'll learn from it.
It's not, like it's a lesson.
It's a lesson.
It's a lesson.
But so the SMART goals, let me get back on track. So the SMART goals is something, so SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Now, SMART, it sounds good because it's a SMART goal. But to me, really, the things that are important is it has to be something specific, it has to be something measurable, and it has to be timely.
So give an example.
So for our podcast, at first it was, I want to grow the podcast this year. That's
very general.
That's not a very good goal.
Yeah.
Because what are you measuring?
Right.
Yeah.
So
in order for us to grow the podcast, we have 5,000 flyers that we ordered. So one of the goals is I want to get rid of these 5,000 flyers in the next 6 months. Okay. So now I can divide the flyers, the 5,000 flyers, by the months that I have, and I know how many I need to give out every month.
Yeah.
And you can even break that down by day or, whatever. And that is something specific. Yeah. It's measurable. You can measure how many flyers you've given out, and it's timely. You have a time limit to what you want to do. Also, for the next 12 months, I want to put out a post on social media every day. That's something that you can track. That's something that, I'm doing for the next 12 months. We'll see the impact of it. And I also want to respond to every post that we get. Like if somebody puts a comment, I'll respond back, whatever. But it's just something that creates the social media engagement, which is something that it's okay for me, but it's not something that I enjoy a lot. Like I enjoy talking to people and interacting, but sometimes it's just, I don't know. But also, like if you're like for us, we're just giving these examples for, as an example. The podcast, we have so many listeners. So I want to grow the podcast 5 times. Very specifically, it's like we have this many listeners now. I multiply that by 5, and that's what I want to get to. We have this many downloads now, multiply that by 5. This is what we want to get to. So you have a number, and with certain activity that we do, handing out flyers, social media, all that you can start tracking it. And you know what? The good thing about this stuff is that you can revisit it. Like if you see that it's not working, then maybe the goal wasn't realistic. Maybe you got to tone it down a little bit. But sometimes I mean, you don't want to make it too easy. You want to stretch yourself.
Right.
You want to stretch a little bit. And I would rather stretch and say, you know what, we're going to grow the podcast 5 times and only grow it 3 times, which that's good.
Yeah.
Then say, you know what, by next year, this is going to be bigger than the Joe Rogan podcast. And it's like, that's not realistic.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Yeah. Because if it seems, I mean, yeah.
So what your goals they have to have is they have to be something specific, something very defined, not something general, something that you can measure, activity that you can measure, and they have to have a time limit. So if you want to lose weight, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to do it by, I don't know, April, June, July. Let's say you want to do it for the summer. By the time June comes around, I want to be in shape. So I want to lose 20 pounds by June. That means I got to lose this much. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to hit the gym, 4 times a week. I'm going to go for a run this many times a week. I'm going to watch what I eat. And you can see what you're doing.
Yeah. So, babe, what was that movie or with Kevin Hart that we were watching?
The movie?
Not the movie, the documentary.
Oh, Don't Fuck This Up.
Okay, Don't Fuck This Up. And
Don't fuck this up.
There was this thing. He was going to the Grammy, or what was he going to?
The Oscars. He was going to be the host of the Oscars.
Yes. And there was this tweet that someone found many, many years ago.
It's like 10 years old.
Yes. And it was just regarding.
It was his son. What he said in the tweet was if he ever catches his son playing with a dollhouse, he's like, I'm going to smash him in the head with the dollhouse. Kind of like pretty much like if I find out that he's gay and he's playing with a dollhouse, I'm going to smash him in the head with the dollhouse.
And so I was talking to Miguel the other day and I'm like, oh no, like we're going to have to clean up some stuff.
What, from our podcast?
Like, yes. And he's like, no, you're going to have to clean up some stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because we're very fun, right? And
it wasn't that bad.
And we say things sometimes like we just, bleh, right? And it's funny, but I'm like, you know what? But that's not, it's not.
Some shit's fucked up. It's not right.
I know, but it's not like I didn't.
You know what? This is the thing, man. Like, for real. When you look at what happened with Kevin Hart, look at the person.
Yes.
Look at the person that he is. Is he an asshole? Is he a piece of shit? Is he fucking morally, like, fucked up?
That's true.
No.
Yeah.
Like, he said that about his kid. And you know what? And people sometimes say fucked up things. This is the thing about that specific situation, is that he made that joke. And at that time, he made, and while we're watching this, I was like, I don't get it. Like, he already apologized. And I also understand that he was like, I'm not apologizing for this again. Because if I keep apologizing for this, I already apologized. I said I'm sorry. 3 years from now, they're going to bring this up again, and I'm going to be apologizing for this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I already said I'm sorry. Go back and listen to it, or just fucking leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a bad guy. Like, you know that. So, but then somebody brought up to him that him smashing his son in the head, it's kind of like you're saying that it's okay to inflict violence on a gay person or something. It's like, you know what? Well, I never saw that side of it.
Right.
And that's why he felt like, all right.
Yeah.
I can see that angle now.
So anyways.
But the thing is, he grew from it and became a better person from it.
So anyways, I want to apologize now.
Oh, jeez. We're already apologizing. We got like 7 listeners. You're already apologizing for shit?
You got to do it now. We got to do it now. Because
this is the last time we'll apologize for that.
So the last podcast, we were talking about finances, and we're not experts on finances. And, we made these goofy sounds.
Or you did. I'm not apologizing.
I did.
Fuck that.
Come on. I'm saying we.
No, you. You apologize.
I made these tee sounds, and I'm just like, I didn't even get that.
You know what? You made me out to be an asshole. So what do you fucking people expect? All right, you knew what you were getting when you freaking listened to this podcast.
Oh, man. So I was like, that's not good. Like, my niece works, with disabled kids, and I've worked with, disabled individuals in high school, and so I meant nothing by that. And when I didn't realize it till after he brought it to my attention. And I'm like, oh. And then earlier in the podcast, we were talking about how my husband and all his friends at work draw penises.
We draw dicks on everything.
On their IDs, on their windshield. Again. I mean, just everywhere. I'm driving his car and I look in the rearview mirror and there's this big penis on the on the back window, and I'm over here driving.
You know what?
And one said, this car is dirtier than your wife or something.
Yeah, I wish my wife was this dirty. That's what it said on my car.
So I'm like, oh my God, you guys are like so gay. No, let me finish I gotta apologize.
Okay, these guys are so gay.
So I'm like, oh, these guys are so gay. And I'm like, I didn't realize afterwards, like, I have friends that are gay. Like, I have nothing against gay people.
You are butchering this apology. You're making it worse. You're going to be the whole next podcast is going to be a giant apology.
I'm sorry if I offended anyone. Like, shit just comes out of my mouth. It does. But, I love everybody. Like, people that know me know that I am all love.
And I think you guys also know after 41 podcasts that you guys get who we are. I mean, if you've been listening for any amount of time, you know who we are. And we're not that kind of person. We don't want to offend anybody. Yeah. Shit's funny sometimes. And you know what? It is what it is. Like,
yeah. We do live in a sensitive world today.
Oh, that's damn it. That's perfect.
But I'm still,
You know what? I was gonna say one thing. Like you're talking about the guys from my work. They're like the freaking they're like terrorists. They're like terrorists or like this is something that I'll probably have to apologize for. But like fucking like mass shootings.
Don't say it.
Like mass shootings, like how they'll put them on the news, and it's like when you talk about it, you're just encouraging the next mass shooting. So if you drive my car again here in the near future, understand that there's probably going to be more dicks drawn on my car because you fucking brought it up again. You're encouraging terrorists.
Bad behavior.
Exactly. So anyway,
I'll get you guys back.
Yeah, let me see your phone real quick. There was give me.
Oh.
But no, there's something that I was just listening to. That.
What is it about?
Let me see. Go ahead.
Hey, didn't we have a message?
Yeah.
On one of our listeners or something? Anyways, yes. So if I say something goofy, something that offends you, I'm just going to say now that I apologize.
You were saying that people are very sensitive.
Yeah.
And I was just listening to this Joe Rogan podcast right before we started this one. And he said something. There was a quote. And I went and I looked it up. But it kind of goes to people are sensitive and all that. And the quote is by Michael Hoff. It's from one of his books anyway. But the quote goes, "Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times." So like the sensitivity. We're at a point where and it's not weak men, but weak-minded people, like they create hard times. Then hard times create strong men. So it's like a cycle. Like when everybody's all offended and soft and like back in the day, it seemed like people were emotionally stronger. Like you couldn't offend people as much. Like everybody's all offended all the fucking time now. You have to watch what you say and like.
Or is it that we're just more aware because of social media?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think social media is making people weaker.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, it has its, its good deeds and its bad deeds at the same time. And I think that all this technology is going to make our kids dumb smart.
Yeah.
Like they're not teaching. Okay. And things are changing because they're not teaching penmanship at school anymore.
Yeah.
There's certain things that they're not teaching anymore. They're not teaching cursive anymore.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You don't need cursive.
I don't even know why they teach. Why do our kids have spelling tests when all you have to do is
talk into a phone?
Talk into a phone.
Yeah, you sent me some fucked up texts though when you're talking to
What?
your phone. I'm like, what the fuck is she talking
Because
about?
I'm driving. I do that a lot. Because when I'm driving, I'm not going to be texting.
I'll send you back like a little detective emoji. Like I'm trying to figure. Don't worry. I'm on the case. I'm trying to figure this shit out. It's like, ooh, I got a text. It's like a mystery.
And I'll tell you, I'm sorry. I'm speaking into my phone because I can't read it. Look it over.
You're like, freaking, yeah.
Anyways, why are you talking shit?
Yeah. But.
Well, it's about that time.
So anyway, we got a call from one of my oldest friends, my best friend.
Okay.
And we got a voicemail.
Are you gonna share it?
Yeah. So we'll get into that now.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
Hello? Listen, I just want to say I listened to podcast. I heard cousin on here one time.
We're going to have to apologize for this.
No, you
and
are.
I couldn't believe it. I got on here. I said, I have to listen to him one more time. And then I realized, Miguel, you are one and the same. Why do you change your name and now talk so American? I will boycott the show if I don't hear my true cousin one more time. And believe me, we are 1/3 of population here in India. You know who this is, all right? I would like to speak to my cousin, hear a little bit more about Ahmed, and go from there. You will get more fadalers. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways, I will see you later, alligator.
Oh my God, my cousin. Dad was my cousin. Dad is Ahmed. And I was Habib.
And you were
back in the day.
I remember you.
We used to talk like this all the time, and it was fun.
Wouldn't you crank call places?
Yes,
like
we call place all the time. When I was growing up in New York, we worked in a nightclub. Anyway, just fucking around. But so the origin of this, I'm so sorry, everybody. But back in the day, we used to work in a nightclub.
Nothing to do with this.
That was my best friend Stevens. And man, when we were like 14, 15 years old, this is I was talking to him earlier in the week about how some of the shit that we used to do in New York is like unbelievable. Like you explain to people the shit that we used to do and the shit that would go down, and it's like, where the fuck did you guys live? Like, where is that legal? Like, where can you do that? I was like, well, New York City, we used to do that shit. So, but we were 15 working in a nightclub that used to be a strip club, turned it into a nightclub.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were serving liquor, and I mean, it was a straight up New York City nightclub.
But that's not where this voice came from.
No, but so what happened was when we were working at this nightclub, it would be the end of the night. We would be picking up all the glasses and taking them into the washroom. And at the end of the night, my dad was the manager, so he was our ride to and from. And we would be bored waiting for him to finish up and count money. So there was these old, I'm sure you guys probably may remember, is like these old chat lines where you could call a number and then it was just like all kinds of people on one line talking shit.
Like a party line.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's a party line.
So what would happen is one of us would call. And the thing is, this is bad. But we had these characters, and he was Ahmed. He was a taxi driver, and I was Habib, and I worked at the 7-Eleven. So one of us would get on the chat line first, and we would start talking. He's like, "Oh, what's up, everybody? What are you doing?" You know, and then the other one would call in, and then we would hear each other on the line, make pretend, you know, and be like, "Who's this?" It's like, "This Ahmed." Ahmed. My cousin Ahmed? And then, you know, it's like, "Oh, cousin, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm driving taxi, you know." And
hey, we have to have him call in on the podcast.
Yeah,
and
we'll have him call in live.
That'd be so funny.
And then what happened was people would be cracking up laughing on this freaking chat line.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hold up. You guys need to call so-and-so." So they would do a 3-way call with somebody else.
Yeah.
And then we would start talking to them, and it was a fucking disaster. But it was funny. Hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Apologize now.
So thank you, Stevens, for calling in. You got that? Get that phone number ready. But yeah, that was it was a lot of fun, and we used to do that. And there was this one tape that we had that we recorded with my little brother, because we would both do the Indian accent and we would do a Russian accent. Yeah. And we were messing around, and we had it on a tape recorder. And we did our regular voices, like we were talking, and then it was like the Indian dudes show up, and then the Russian dudes show up.
Yeah.
And it sounded like it was like 6 people on there, and my little brother was on there, so it was like 7 people on at the same time. Yeah. But anyway.
Well, that's our time, you guys. This was fun.
Yeah, so if you guys want to give us a call, leave us a voicemail. Yes. Hey, if you guys got any comments on what we were talking about before, on whether it was your goal setting, on communication with your partner or anything like that,
or disputes. Yeah, Sonja's right, Miguel's wrong.
Yeah, and then I'm the one that goes through all the voicemails, so I will play the ones that are appropriate, the ones that are on my side, because Sonja doesn't know how to.
So
check
then
that.
Just go on to our Facebook page, our group page.
Yeah, you can leave us messages there, Instagram, send us messages, but you can also call into the show, leave us a voicemail, and that phone number is
480-912-5128. Again, it's 480-912-5128.
What's with the dramatic pause? What the hell?
I gotta entertain these people, babe. Come on. You think they're gonna watch us just to watch us?
So anyway, we're so sorry if we offended any of you on this podcast, because I know we went off the rails. But
no, you went off the rails. I apologize.
So I'm sorry for not really. Anyway, just kidding. But thank you guys for being with us. Thank you for listening.
Until next time.
Until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.